NFL awards have been handed out. We've got Players of the Year, Coaches of the Year, Comeback Players of the Year, and the Hall of Fame class of 2024. What we love about it, what we don't like, and of course, we've got to make picks and preview 49ers Chiefs, Super Bowl 58. Big show coming up right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love all the everydayers out there. Subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast. We appreciate it. Thanks once again to all of the listeners out there that are sticking with us all year and finishing up this season. It's our last podcast of the season. It'll be official off season for all 32 teams the next time we chat post Super Bowl on Monday. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, before we get to our official picks and talk about what we expect to see and what we would love to see from Super Bowl 58, Chiefs and 49ers fishing up this 2023 season. How about the awards from the 2023 season, Matt? Let's start with the awards. And MVP, no shocker, nearly unanimous, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think we need to spend any more time on that one.
A lot of these we can just be quick on. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns. You on board with that one?
I'm cool. Would have been my vote, but I'm cool. There was 4 or 5 really good candidates this year, and he was one of them.
I think we don't totally disagree here. Joe Flacco was named Comeback Player of the Year. I think it's interpretation of this award. It's an award I don't love because it's pretty contrived and forced most years. And I thought they got it completely wrong. And this was one of the greatest years to give out the award to Damar Hamlin because it's about the comeback. It's not about how good the player was. This isn't the MVP, right? And if you interpret it that way, I still think they got it wrong because Baker Mayfield deserves it as much as Joe Flacco, and he had a better year. And Brock Purdy, he tore his UCL, missed the end of the season. It was not a lot of the end that he missed. He wasn't healthy again until training camp started and had a miraculous comeback from that, led his team to the Super Bowl. So he deserves it more than Joe Flacco, if that's your interpretation, in my opinion. So I think the NFL got a dumb
award. Yeah, I think we agree on this one. It's a dumb award.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year, right call. I don't think this one's a shocker at all.
No, it would have been my vote as well.
And I'm going to give you some time here, and I'm going to sit back after Myles Garrett. Browns defensive end was named Defensive Player of the Year, Matt.
Yeah, I got a problem with this one, and I'm going to sound like a homer, but I'm going to back it up with some numbers and some – just give me 2 minutes to get on a soapbox here because I've heard things like, oh, Myles Garrett is double-teamed much more than T.J. Watt. No, he isn't. Just watch the games. I mean, Crosby, Bosa, as you know, Parsons, Garrett, Watt – get all the attention from every blocking scheme they ever face, or those teams are bonkers. So I don't want to say no one has it harder than the others. If anyone has it harder than the others, it's Crosby because he has nothing around him. And, in terms of these elite edge guys, but just numbers, this really isn't even close. So I'm going to go through, 10 categories here very quickly. The number that is bigger belongs to Mr. Watt. The number that is smaller belongs to Myles Garrett, who, by the way, I think is awesome, but I think Watt is more deserving. Tackles, 68-42. Solo tackles, 48-33. Sacks, 19-14. And Garrett had 1 sack in his last 6 games. Quarterback hits, 18-16. Tackles for loss, 19-17. They actually tie and force fumbles, 4-4. Fumble recoveries, 3-1, favoring Watt. 1 interception, Garrett didn't have any. 8 pass deflections versus 3 pass deflections. I know it's not all stats, but the stats aren't even close.
And there's
I'll be quiet
no way,
now.
and I'm not going to argue with it all about the stats. But again, I think your first argument is the right one. Put on the tape. I think these are so close when you're talking about the Garretts and the Watts and the Parsons and the Boses of the world. I don't want the award to turn into who got the most sacks, because
I agree with most of that.
Small percentage of what these guys do play in and play out. I do think things like tackles, and Watts got a little bit more space, has an opportunity to get some more of those passes defensed and some more of those tackles and those sort of stats. And Myles Garrett started off really fast this year, and obviously the TJ Watt statistically really came back at the end of the year and surpassed him in a lot of those categories, especially sacks. But Myles Garrett's game record, and you watch the games, you look at things like PFF grade where Garrett was still higher. I mean, he's a beast, and I think he was deserving. And it's not that Watt wasn't deserving, but I don't have a problem with Garrett winning this award.
I get it. I'm a little too close to it. Don't get me wrong. So I get a little too wound up. And I will admit the Browns had a better defense than the Steelers. I mean, there's no questioning that, and that carries some weight, and that's the biggest dog on the better defense. I mean, I get that, but the stats really aren't close, and I just wanted to throw that out there.
Texans brought home offensive and defensive rookies of the year with their second and third picks in the NFL draft with C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. I don't think you were surprised by either one of those.
No, future is very bright in Houston.
How about this one? And to be honest with you, all the time we spend talking about all this stuff, the Hall of Fame, this is a cool award that doesn't get enough press. It's the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And I love how every team gets somebody that is nominated, and you get to learn about a lot of the stuff that these guys are doing on a human level off the field. And your guy from the Steelers, Cam Hayward, was the winner this year.
Yeah, it really made my day, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think Cam Hayward even knows who I am, but I've been around him a lot. He has a Hayward house here in Pittsburgh as well as Atlanta. If you don't know, he's Ironhead Hayward's kid. He grew up in Atlanta as a Falcon, baby youngster. And so that's home for him as well. But he's really adopted Pittsburgh as his home, does a ton of charity work. This award is cool because I know for a fact it meant a lot to Cam, because he thought my time might be running out here. And they usually give it to older guys. Whitworth got it a couple of years ago. And it's somewhat of a lifetime achievement award on and off the field. It doesn't go to bad players that just do good charity. I mean, you got to be able to be a really good player as well. So just to give you some context, every team votes for one as their nominee. I think Cam has been the Steelers representative 8 years in a row now. He's clearly the leader of the team. He's a big presence in the community, and he's a really good player. So I was happy for him.
There's so many awards they give out, and there's sponsored awards. The one I like the most, though, which is really funny, there's NFL Flag Players of the Year, and
I saw that, yeah,
Handlin in the girls division, and Ryder Noche, I think is how you pronounce it, from the boys division. So love giving some love to some youngsters out there
new this year
that are the NFL Flag Players of the Year, and they're really putting some money into flag football, going all the way through professional levels now of the game, which I love too. So, but the Deacon Jones Sack Leader Award, it's like, well, who led in sacks? Okay, TJ Watt, he gets the award.
I don't think there's any voting, right?
Yeah. That was really funny. And then you got the FedEx Ground and Air, which the 49ers both took home with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. Okay. And then a real award here that we'll finish up with, this one is Jim Schwartz, Browns defensive coordinator, was assistant coach of the year.
Okay, I have no problem with that either. I mean, I thought McDonald or Johnson in Detroit would run away with assistant coach of the year, but Schwartz did a tremendous job as well. Really kickstarted that defense.
Next, Matt, we got to talk Hall of Fame. We've got a new class in 2024 of Hall of Famers, 5 current era Hall of Famers and 2 others. And maybe soapbox time for a moment, and then we'll get
just
into
a moment. Yeah, got bigger fish to fry, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Make our preview and picks of a Super Bowl 58 next. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer from other retirement accounts with a $3 match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC is a registered broker-dealer. And this episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets from all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. And right now, all users, you still got time, get $100 off when you buy a big game ticket with code Vegas100. Killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets. You see the view from your seat, you know exactly what you're getting. And the thing I love the most about Game Time, all in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out, even on tickets to the big game Sunday. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. And right now, all Game Time users get $100 off a big game ticket with code Vegas100. Terms apply. Just download the Game Time app and use code Vegas100 for $100 off the big game ticket. Or if you're not going to the game, use code Locked On for $20 off any other first purchase tickets. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Here we go. Hall of Fame class of 2024. And it is Dwight Freeney, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers, Patrick Willis. Those are the 5 current era. And then we've got Randy Gradishar, part of the senior class, and Steve McMichael. And, you know, I trash on the Hall of Fame a lot, Matt. And, you know, there's a whole argument about you can't tell the story, the history of the NFL. That's how you decide if a player should be in or out. I mean, they've gone way past that a long time ago. We've got almost 400 Hall of Famers now. That's a pretty big book if you're trying to tell the story of the NFL and include all 400 of those guys in any meaningful capacity, right? So we can quit arguing that that's it. And it starts with Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, or not. And here's the other thing. It becomes so important for all of the players that are trying to get in, but it's this whole contrived thing. It's just a museum and, you know, self-important writers that have created this thing that you have to be, your career somehow has to be validated by this vote from these other people. And I hate that for the players. But then when you see how much it means to them, and you see someone like Devin Hester, who I didn't think should get in, but, you know, it's just an emotional moment where they show up and they let him know he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's got his kids in his arms, and he's saying, look, kids, this is, if you work hard, and it's a lesson for his kids that he's got his arms around. I mean, I love seeing that. I love seeing the tears from guys. My guy, the seeing Steve McMichael, I mean, heartbreaking, right? Getting the call finally in his condition currently. So, you know, it's great to see the players get in. I hate how this contrived museum has become such an important thing, as if these guys need validation for their careers.
That's really well said, and I like all that. I like Hall of Fame talk more than you do, but it's getting a little ridiculous. It's getting a little watered down. With all respect to Gradishar and McMichael, even the senior committee to me leaves a little to be desired. You know, we wait like 30 years and then we put guys in, and why are we putting 2 of them in now? I almost feel like they should have their own wing. Like, you're not as good as Lawrence Taylor, or, you know, like it's not even the same, you know.
How about a special teams wing?
I've been saying that for years, that every 3 or 4 years, one special teamer should go. I think coaches should have their own wing. GM should have their own wing.
Yeah.
How do you compare Shanahan versus Fred Warner when they're both up the same year? You know what I mean? Like, that's not fair. They don't do the same things. Commissioners versus
the greatest groundskeeper of all time. Get them in, right? And think of all the ACLs and ligaments saved for a really great turf. What about the area scouts that were the ones that recommended that you draft Tom Brady or Brock Purdy, right? They changed the course of the NFL as much as, you know, a special teams player did.
Right. And I don't want to compare a commissioner versus a center in terms of one of them gets in and the other one doesn't.
Right.
And really, that's what the Hester argument is. Not that he isn't great. Not that he's not the best return man I've ever seen and probably in the history of the league. Not that he didn't petrify the opponent time and time again. But to leave Gates off and put him in offends me a little bit, to be very honest with you. Before we go further, I'm very happy that Willis got in. I didn't think he ever would. And I'm pretty happy Andre Johnson got in. Of all the receivers, he was my favorite of that group. So this was kind of a down class. I think that helped them to get the, finally get the bump. And I think it's one of the reasons Hester got in, because it's somewhat of a down class. But at the expense of Gates, that bothers me to no end.
I agree. Hands down, put Gates in over him. I mean,
I interrupt you all the time, and I'm going to do it again. No. I'm sorry. But I guarantee this conversation went like this. Antonio Gates is great. He's got lots of time. I don't know that he's ready to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So we'll make him wait one more year, and then he'll get in. But this is Devin's last chance, really, because it's kind of a down class. Just put the 5 best dudes in. I don't want any of that nonsense.
My gatekeeping comment about important riders, who's a first ballot, who's not. You have to put 5 in every year. Put 1 in, put 0, put 12 in. Put who belongs in. And as far as Hester, and look, Hester was super fun to watch, and maybe he was the greatest return man of all time. But I mean, other greatest return men of all time weren't even allowed to return because it wasn't a valuable enough job to do. Barry Sanders could have been the best return man of all time. Deion Sanders was just as dangerous.
Deion did it every time,
or more so. And Christian McCaffrey, he's not allowed to return kicks. Christian McCaffrey scored 20 touchdowns this year. That's more than Devin Hester scored in his entire career returning kicks. So
when you get too good at returning kicks, when you get too good at football, they don't let you return kicks anymore.
Because one thing's more valuable than the other. And we're not even talking about just star players that aren't allowed to do it either. So
Antonio Brown was like the best punt returner in the league as a rookie. I mean, you're not doing that ever again unless it's a playoff.
Patrick Willis,
Urlacher.
Patrick Willis's first play as a rookie, he went down on kick coverage, absolutely destroyed the return man, and everyone was probably the only time he's ever going to get a chance to do this because he's not going to be allowed to be on special teams anymore.
Terrell Davis made his bones there, and then as soon as he got too good at football, they said you're not doing that ever again.
Right. So Hester might be the greatest of all time, but how far back in line would he be if everyone was allowed to return kicks that would have been the greatest of all time? You know what I mean?
Let's let Randy Moss do it 50 times a year, and maybe he'll score a lot too. Yeah, I hate the crap on Hall of Famers after they get in, but
and that's like I love for him that he got in. It was important to him. He was a really fun player to watch, but
no doubt,
what are we doing? It's not a Hall of Famer to me, and he just has better highlights than other people. That's why he gets in over other very important NFL jobs.
And I said this going in, and I know we have to get to the Super Bowl, but if I'm the head coach playing against Hester, I tell my punter, never let the ball land in bounds. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that against Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? Or the best, Larry Allen. I can't just be like, we'll just not ever let him influence the game.
Or Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates didn't get in the hall. How do you defend Antonio Gates? You can't say, we're going to take him out of this play by not covering him. We're going to push him out of bounds and he doesn't exist anymore in this play. You can't do it.
Right. You can put 3 guys on him and then Vincent Jackson's going for touchdown after touchdown, or Tomlinson or whatever, of course.
Let's talk Super Bowl.
I'm psyched.
We are going to preview the Super Bowl, how we think things are going to go, predictions, picks, Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl 58. The next segment is brought to you by Nissan USA. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue, perfect for city drives and great escapes. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store, all built right in to the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment systems. The perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. How about the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder has room for up to 8 in expansive cargo capacity and advanced available 4x4 capability. We're talking 284 horsepower and 6,000 pounds of towing on that bad boy 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. So take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or the new 2024 Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. And of course, if we're talking big game, there's lots of ways to play, including Prize Picks. And you only got a couple more days to download the Prize Picks app. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to turn every game-changing moment into 100 times your money. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with the big game, and you even get an extra 1-yard play with Patrick Mahomes. If he throws for more than 1 yard in the big game, you win on that more than pick on Prize Picks. So quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of players and projections. All you do is you pick 2 to 6 players. You pick more than or less than on their projections, and you're not playing against a large pool of sharks and other players. It's just you against the numbers at Prize Picks. And all you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. The Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers to finish off the 2023 season in Super Bowl 58. Matt, let's start with, I think, the more intriguing aspect of this game. It's been my number one matchup to watch, and it is, I think, the best offensive coordinator in the NFL, Kyle Shanahan, against the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, and Steve Spagnuolo. So when the 49ers have the ball is where I want to start.
Okay.
And what do you see happening when the 49ers have the ball?
Well, just in terms of units, I think the Niners offense is the best of the 4, and I would probably say their defense is 4th. You know, not that there's big discrepancies in any of them, to be honest with you. They're all really good. My hunch, it's more about Spagnuolo to me than Shanahan, in that what does he want to try to take away? And my hunch is everyone's talking about how bad the Chiefs' run defense is, and it's been problematic. But he also kind of forced the Ravens into throwing when they should have been running and things like that. And I said that about the offense because I think there is no right answer. And Shanahan has created this, that there is no right answer to make this team play left-handed. They don't have a left hand. They go, their right is so strong, and you know, any which way you go, they're ambidextrous.
Yeah.
But I bet that it's going to come down to Purdy's going to have to make throws. I can't imagine them allowing themselves to hand the ball off to McCaffrey time and time again for 4, 8, 6. And the Chiefs have been so time of possession conscious lately. I think they're going to say, Brock, if you can beat us with your arm, and I'm not saying he can't, go for it. And I think you'll get a fair amount of man coverage. I'm curious, you know, will Snead go on Ayuk? I lean towards that, but it seems like a lot of different opinions on that. So we'll see. I don't know that you'll get a lot of blitzes, but I think that you'll see a lot of keeping the defense or the offense off balance, you know, blitzing when you don't expect blitz and vice versa and all those things. And both sides of the ball, all coaches involved, both quarterbacks, 2 weeks to prepare, just elevates all of it for me. You know,
oh for sure. It's gonna be so much fun, the chess match there. And you know, Spagnuolo's gonna bring pressure. It's not that he's not gonna bring pressure. It's just not gonna be quite as much as I think he brought pressure against Lamar Jackson last week.
100%.
And it'll be more like the Miami game, similar style offense. But Brock Purdy's been really good, top 5 quarterback in the NFL against pressure too. So that's another aspect of it that fascinates me. If the Chiefs stay back in, you know, too high coverage, man, and take on the 49ers, the Niners are going to run all over them, and that's the best path for the 49ers to win. And you know Kyle Shanahan's going to come out and he wants to run the ball. He's going to get Debo involved early. He's going to get McCaffrey involved early. So that's kind of the tester, and we'll see how that goes early on in the game. And even if you bring an 8th man and, you know, walk Justin Reed down, the 49ers might still be able to run on that. Yeah. But what does Spagnuolo do? Because he knows the Niners are going to try to do that. What's he going to try to do to take that away? And is he going to give you the looks to try to make you pass and force Brock Purdy to beat him? Is, like you said, I think that's what he's going to try to do. I think it might end up being, do the 49ers decide they want to grind it out? Or is it's almost a matchup of patience to me. Like who's the less patient team? Who's the less patient quarterback? Because the way the Chiefs have been playing this year, and statistically one of Mahomes is the Mahomes' worst season, you know, passer rating, EPA, whatever, and average depth of target. Brock Purdy's way ahead of Mahomes in all those categories. Mahomes, especially in the playoffs, no turnover, not even no turnovers. I think 0 turnover worthy throws, according to
right.
Next Gen
Yep.
and PFF. So are they going to play the brand of football where it's like, okay, we're going to force Brock Purdy to throw, and we believe the young quarterback is going to make a mistake before our quarterback does? And so it's almost going to be a battle of patience. Is Shanahan okay saying, "Oh, that's fine too," because we're gonna defend. We're gonna defend. We have no problem covering your guys with our defense, and we're gonna make Patrick Mahomes dink and dunk his way down the field too. So is this one of those grinded out games where nobody wants to take the big shot because nobody wants to make the big mistake? Or do we see the 49ers come out and Spagnuolo says, we're going to force you to check into the passes, and then are we going to see some fireworks with run after catch and more space in the back end and guys slinging a little bit? So that's the early test for me in this game to see which direction it's going to go, because I want to say it's going to go under the total and be more of a grinded out game, but I don't know if Spagnuolo is going to allow the 49ers to play that way. He's going to force them to check into more passing situations. I know Kyle Shanahan trusts his quarterback to throw the football. I was surprised how much he let him throw in the rain against the Green Bay Packers, which was clearly the obvious game plan was let's just pound the heck out of it with Christian McCaffrey. Who cares how many yards per carry we're getting in that game? And that's not the way Kyle Shanahan attacked it, because he knew the defense was going to expect that. So that's what's fascinating to me about this game is that chess match. And then we know no lead is safe with Patrick Mahomes, even if he is dinking and dunking for 3 quarters.
So I think it's going to be more of the conservative approach, especially in the first half. And I was listening to a podcast the other day with Chase Daniel, who was Breeze's backup when they won the Super Bowl in New Orleans. And he said, the Super Bowl's so different. Sean Payton went into that super long halftime while the Rolling Stones or whoever's playing and scripted another 15 plays. We just treated 2 halves totally different. Like I always think with these kind of offensive masterminds, the second half might be a lot more aggressive. Like now I got to bead. I'm going to play it close to the vest early on. Now I got to beat on what they're trying to do, or they got a linebacker hurt that I can exploit, or, and let's go back to the drawing board at halftime. And Mahomes has been like a microprocessor with his mind. Everyone talks about his body, but I mean, his mind is sharper than ever. And Purdy's such a quick processor, period. If you could just get him to pat that ball a second longer for a while, that goes a long way in that rhythm offense.
Yeah, and Purdy's not afraid to sling it, and it's what makes him great, but also it could get him into trouble. And so
he has had turnover-worthy plays the last couple weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to be honest, this is my big talking point for the 49ers is like, okay, this is a 4-quarter game. We saw in the Super Bowl 4 years ago, 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, not enough. You got to play 60 minutes, 4-quarter game. The 49ers haven't played 4 total good quarters in the playoffs yet they're still in the Super Bowl right now. So you got to start fast and be good. And to me, for the 49ers on defense, it starts with, are they able to beat those? And I think they have an advantage. Bosa is Chase Young. Does Chase Young come to play? And I think Chase Young and Chris Jones are kind of the X factors, because both those guys can play hot and cold, but this is the Super Bowl. Yeah, they're going to be up for this,
for that.
Right? And so can the 49ers get pressure on Mahomes? If you get a lead, now you're getting pressure on Mahomes and a lead. Can you force him to make those mistakes? So again, that comes back to patience. Which quarterback makes the fewest mistakes?
Mm-hmm. And that leans towards Mahomes. I mean, again, and I've been unbelievable with that. And I also think I've been really hard on the Chiefs' offensive tackles, but they've played better lately. The line's played better lately. The offense as a whole is playing the best it has all year.
And Nick Allegretti did a fine job filling in for Tooney, and it's looking more and more like Tooney's probably not going to play. I don't think they've announced anything yet, and I think they're just kind of being coy with that one. It's probably going to be Allegretti. So, look, the 49ers are healthier than the Chiefs are coming into this game. And
but Chiefs are also missing a Menahu, and
Menahu torn ACL. And so the 49ers could take advantage, I think, on both lines, which could be enough of a difference to me in this game. The key is the 49ers, or the key is for that for the Chiefs, if they're able to muster offense without big plays, if they're able to run the ball, dink and dunk, continue third down conversion, go down the field and score early in the game. So I think the 49ers are going to have an opportunity to score early in the game. The Chiefs are averaging 21 points given up. The Niners are nearly 30. We call them Glock 30 for a reason, right? So that's another, like, is the 49ers offense win against it's good on good 49ers offense, Chiefs defense. That's why that side of the ball. I think I know how things are going to go with the Mahomes Chiefs offense against the 49ers defense, which is also good on good, but it's a little bit a different level of good on good than I think Shanahan versus Spagnuolo in this one.
A couple general themes I think are really important are, you mentioned it's a 60-minute game, and I think that's more important for the Niners. But I mean, even if the Niners return the opening kickoff for a touchdown, get a bounce or two in the first half, go in with a 21-3 lead at halftime, it ain't over. I mean, it's not even close to being.
But one thing they need to do is shorten that game, right? It's what they did not do in the Super Bowl. And it's why I bring this up about Spagnuolo. Spagnuolo got the 49ers to throw late in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When it was like apparent, it was like, okay, good call. RPO, right look to call that, but Chris Jones or whoever it was got their big hand up in the air and batted the ball down. Well, a 0-yard run is still better than an incomplete pass in that situation, and certainly more than an interception. So Kyle Shanahan, when he has a lead, needs to realize, okay, well, maybe this is where I don't care, put 11 guys in the box. The right call in a normal situation might not be the right call here. I don't care if I get 0 yards on the ground. I'm going to shorten this football game. And we saw the 49ers come back in that very same vein against the Lions because they didn't shorten the game and they went for it on fourth down, try to go for the kill shot, which again, like you look at analytics, you look at everything, but it ended up being the wrong call. So, and the 49ers, I think Kyle Shanahan did get out coached by Reed and Spagnuolo in the last Super Bowl. And so we'll see how this plays out.
Some of those intangibles to me have to favor the Chiefs, subject to change, but they were there every year. I mean, everyone's heart beats out of your chest a little bit more early. And how do you deal with Taylor Swift being the long commercials? I mean, it's just a different world.
And how about
that favors Kansas City?
Butker, one of the better kickers in the league. Rookie kicker.
Mentioned special teams.
He was the best kick in the draft. He's made some big kicks. 4 for 4 in Allegiant Stadium, by the way. Jake Moody, including the Shrine game. I think he made one of those kicks. But
special teams does favor Kansas City, though, clearly.
Yes. And speaking about hearts beating out of your chest, rookie kicker lining up for a game winner in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's big time stuff right big there. To your point, though, really quick before we make our predictions, Matt.
Yes.
My guy, Eric Crocker, Locked On 49ers, brought this up, and it's such a great point. At Super Bowl week, Patrick Mahomes was asked about Super Bowl and how you process it because it's a different game and what your process is going through the week. And he's like, well, I've got a routine. And you're like, oh, he's been here so many times already. He's got a routine. It's like when you see these Instagram models who are like, oh, here's my makeup routine. This is what I go through, because they do it every day. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl so many times, he's already got his own routine for it, right? Brock Purdy
like 28.
So it's pretty that's pretty interesting. Clearly, I think like kicking game, maybe not punting. The Niners have a really good punter, but as far as field goals and quarterback, obviously the Chiefs have the lead. The Niners are just really good top to bottom, and I think they are a better football.
I think they have the better roster,
and so this is going to be fascinating to me. I like the 49ers to get an early lead. Can they keep it is my question here. So with all that said, Matt, what is your pick? Super Bowl 58, Niners favored by, I think, 2. It's kind of been 1.5 to 2.5.
I really don't feel strong on the point total, what the actual prediction of the score is, but I took it 23-20. Deep down, I think the fourth quarter might be fireworks, though, and we might blow past that. It might feel like that type of game until the end. I'm taking Kansas City to win, though, and so much of it's just a shortcut to thinking and not betting against Mahomes. I mean, I think he's Michael Jordan. I mean, I really do. And no offense to Shanahan or any of the great set people on the Niners sidelines, but Kelsey, Spags, Reed, if those are your second, third, fourth best assets in one game, that's pretty darn strong. But other than that, assets 5 through 20 certainly favors the Niners. There's no question,
The 49ers have won 2 playoff games, haven't covered in either. And I think it's going to happen again, which means 49ers by 1 in this game for me. And I've predicted 28-27. Like you, I think it's going to be a little bit more grinded out early and maybe some more points later to get you on the over. But, I don't think under is a bad bet. I'd probably stay away from the over-under in this game because of that, because of the Super Bowl. But I do think it will start slow as far as points. But Jake Moody missed field goal. Niners fans are going to get real tight. 28-27, though. 49ers win by 1 point.
Okay. No, I think it'll be very close. I'm looking forward to this as much as any I can remember. I can't bet against Superman.
What is he? 10-1-1 now? Because he was 9-1-1 before last week. And remember, I picked the Chiefs because against the spread, and I guess I would be picking the Chiefs against the spread here. It's never bad money picking an underdog Chiefs team. Neutral site game here.
I just tweeted this actually right before we went on the air. I mean, Mahomes has been an underdog only 12 times in his career, which in itself is insanity.
Insane.
But he's 10-1-1 against the spread in those games and 9-3 straight up. He just wins, especially when it matters most.
Niners by 1, and you can still cash that bet.
I like it.
So,
I like it.
Thanks,
everybody. I can't wait, though. Yeah.
Your first listen, Super Bowl 58 is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, Matt and I will be back Monday to break it all down. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. Talk to you Monday, post Super Bowl, post 2023 season, right here. Peacock and Williamson.